Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that right now. Hit that subscribe button right below. Buffalo Bills get the win over the Chiefs, 28-21. Bills move to 6-2. Chiefs fall to 5-4. The old game of the year, CBS special game. They'll love it, dead smack in the middle of the season. Another great game. Bills played so clean offensively. Josh Allen, 23 of 26 for 273. That's over 10 yards per attempt, had a touchdown. Also had 2 rushing touchdowns. James Cook had 114 yards on the ground. Buffalo's offense, unbelievably efficient. But I think it's their defense did a really nice job against Kansas City's offense and slowed them down for the first time in weeks.
That snapped a streak of, I think, like 23 straight games or something that the Chiefs had not given up a 100-yard rusher.
Yeah. Cook didn't get 100 in the AFC Championship? Is that one of those?
It might be one of those only regular season records that annoy everybody when they come up.
Yeah, so now I got to check.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack in this one. No, Cook only had 85 in the AFC Championship.
Then maybe it doesn't. Who knows? Now it's just unknown. Now we don't know if it's a regular
just a big unknown.
Yeah.
Always a lot to discuss in this game, but where do you want to start?
You can start. I think it was the right result, and I think, if anything, the score flattered Kansas City a little bit. Buffalo, I think, was the better team on both sides of the ball. They looked great they looked great on both sides of the ball. It also occurred to me during this game that, this slightly weird way that the Bills' offense is constructed with slot receivers everywhere and multiple tight ends and no real X on the outside, it's to beat the Chiefs. This offense is designed to exploit weaknesses in the Kansas City defense, where that's a really good defense overall. However, they do have multiple lumbering linebackers that can't really cover in space, or certainly can't run with athletic players over the middle. And it's the Bills are built for that. Everything where you're like, why do they have all these players in the same spot? It's because that's where Kansas City's weak.
Yeah.
And they showed up. James Cook looked great. Josh Allen looked great. And then all of those guys over the middle. Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakir, Dawson Knox with the play, Elijah Moore with the play. All of these guys over the middle are suddenly being asked to, Nick Bolton's trying to cover them, or Leo Chanel. And it's they can't do that.
Dalton Kincaid looks awesome this season. 6 catches for 101 for him, including a 47-yarder. He got free early for the first touchdown on the opening drive. I thought the Bills, Joe Brady, the play calling, their offense has not been the issue when they lose to the Chiefs in the playoffs. There's always a play here and there, but the offense has generally moved the ball. It's been defensive issues, right? But the offense in this game, I thought when they were running the ball effectively, so they ran the ball effectively overall. Once Kansas City started overcommitting to the run, it was boom, play action, roll out, move the pocket. It was just a beautiful game flow, I thought, from Buffalo from a play calling standpoint, using all those tight ends, getting Shakir in space, making the Chiefs tackle. You're right. The Chiefs do a good job creating tight window throws against outside receivers down the field, right? Challenging outside type of receivers, bigger receivers, and creating low percentage opportunities if you're trying to throw the ball vertically. They're not as good when you spread them out, put them in space. And I thought Buffalo they stayed on schedule really well, so they stayed out of the Spags is in his bag plays. They didn't have to deal with that as much. Not a ton of 3rd and longs. And so they did a really nice job. They also did a really nice job, I think, managing the clock overall. I thought the timeout usage was really interesting. I'm not saying it was good from Buffalo, but it was almost like they said, we would rather use a timeout to get the right play. 4th downs. They used one before a kick, before a field goal for Kansas City. I think that's bad use of one. But they did it before. They did it with 20 seconds left in the first half as the Chiefs were driving. And just to get set up, and they actually ended up making the goal line stand against Kansas City. That was a huge part of the game.
Yeah.
So I thought Buffalo did a lot right. The end of the game was – talk about the end of the game sequence and a lot of other stuff here too. But I think starting with Buffalo's offense, they just did a really nice job using all their playmakers, keeping Kansas City off balance, and really dominated on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, they put up 400 yards. I think you're right to sort of say, look, generally speaking, Buffalo's offense does do pretty well against Kansas City. And I think, honestly, the thing to highlight is the other side of the ball, which is this is different. The Buffalo's defensive performance was different in this game than they've typically had against Kansas City. And in part, it's their athletic playmakers made a real difference. I mean, Cole Bishop had an insane game in this game. And Cole Bishop, like the thing that he brings to the table is high-end athleticism relative to safeties that have been in this defense previously. And then Maxwell Hairston makes a huge difference to this defense. Like they have, 4.21 speed of Xavier Worthy, fastest man in NFL history over the 40. Maxwell Hairston gave him a free release off the line, running a vertical 9 route and just ran with him.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how many people in the NFL can do that, but it's not many. And Hairston was drafted arguably just for that purpose. Like you're a guy that runs 4.28. We need you in a division or against an opponent that has a 4.21 receiver. Let's saddle up. We don't have one of those guys at the moment. We need one. Let's go. And Hairston looked great.
Everything about this Chiefs-Bills matchup is so fun. And what you just said, Hairston, we joked on draft night, like he runs in the 4.3s. You draft him to cover Xavier Worthy, right? He did it on that go ball that was slightly underthrown, but he was there step for step. He had the interception when Mahomes heaved it up late in the game. And you have Christian Benford on the other side. So all of a sudden you've got corners like Tre'Davious White got cooked early in the game. You probably don't want Tre'Davious White at this time of his career covering Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice. You don't want that. But Hairston and Benford can do it. And so every year we ask the question, okay, the Bills win the regular season game. Can they do it in the playoffs? How do you bottle this up and do it in the playoffs? And you have to be honest, like the injuries made a huge impact the last 2 years. 2 years ago in the divisional round game, the Bills were completely depleted, missing 5 or 6 starters on the defensive side of the ball. And then last year, Benford goes down early. And
almost immediately.
You were like the first drive, right, for the Chiefs. If they have the outside corners, they can make plays, right? And so we're going to see this number. I don't know if you want to put up the stat. Next Gen Stats has the Bills pressured Patrick Mahomes on 52.6% of his dropbacks. That's over 14% higher than their pressure rate on any of their other 9 matchups against the Chiefs since 2020. Mahomes was 3 of 16 for 61 yards and a pick when pressured. When we hear pressure, we almost immediately think pass rush. Mm-hmm. In this game, it wasn't so much a dominant pass rush. It was a good, efficient, lane discipline pass rush. It was the back 7, man. The Bills did a really nice job taking away the downfield throws the Chiefs are trying to dial up. They hit a couple. Like the Chiefs hit a couple. It was very boomer bust type of offense. But I think the meshing of the coverage unit and the pass rush from the Bills was outstanding. And they took away 1 and 2, created just enough hesitancy to let the rush get there. And then combined with a couple rushes like Joey Bosa did a really nice job and got home.
Yeah, but they also, they turned Patrick Mahomes stylistically into Caleb Williams. Like Patrick Mahomes, his average time to throw in the game was like 3.2 seconds. And his average depth of target was like 15 yards downfield.
15.
So Mahomes is just out here like not just big game hunting, but looking for all of it. And every now and again he gets one, like the 4th and 17 conversion. But from pretty early in the game, Mahomes is out here just trying to make, like he's all or nothing. He's just out here looking for the kill shot over the top. Like there was one play that got negated. It was like a big 3rd down. They're like, oh, Mahomes the guy that can make this play. And he's just like heaving it 50 yards deep into double coverage. And then I think the play gets negated and they, you go again. But it's like, even if you look at that chart, like it's shotgun, scatter shot all over the field. Like there's no rhyme or reason as to where we're going with this. Look at that. I mean, that's not, it's not like a rational, drawn up game plan. That's just Mahomes trying to hit random people that he sees.
And that's the opposite of what Mahomes just did to, say, the Raiders a couple weeks ago when they had that uber efficient game and it's like everything's underneath and it's quick hitters and they didn't have that. And I know we always bring up, hey, the Chiefs, they save the good plays for the playoffs. They pulled out the good plays in this game. Their first touchdown was Rashee Rice
I mean,
direct snap.
their low red zone package is pretty nutty.
Yeah, but even
in a good way.
I want to talk about the 4th and 17. We'll bounce around here, but the 4th and 17 play was just, I thought it was an unbelievable play call and execution by the Chiefs, because you're trying to slow down Joey Bosa in the pass rush. We talked earlier about the Bo Nix moving the pocket and then going back against the grain. Mahomes almost like faked the scramble. He faked the rollout to the left, then faked the rollout to the right, and then just sat in the pocket. It was just a genius way. You faked moving the pocket twice, and Joey Bosa just like ran in a circle before a guard came up, and a pulling guard blocked him. And so that was what gave Mahomes the clean pocket to hit the 4th and 17. Like that is a play that they usually dial up in the AFC Championship. Fake sprint out left, fake sprint out right, sit in the pocket. Now I've got my clean pocket on a 4th and long, and that's how they executed the 4th and 17, which, by the way, was a 15-point game at that point. And if they don't complete that, it's definitely over, and they got smoked. But that one play kept them in it. They had the Rashee Rice play. They had a beautiful pick play that they set up for one of the receivers down the field. I forget who they hit. I think it was Marquise Brown. They hit him on a couple good ones. So it wasn't like the Chiefs were sleepwalking through this. They were pulling out some of their good stuff. I just think overall, outside of a couple plays defensively for the Bills, they were outstanding at taking away what the Chiefs were trying to do.
They beat them man on man. I mean, they won up front with the pass rush. Joey Bosa had an amazing game, and he had a play where he just absolutely blew past Jalen Moore on the offensive line. He had a huge game for them. Gregory Rousseau had a really good game. We already talked about Maxwell Harrison, Cole Bishop. Like, they just had playmakers that were consistently making plays throughout that defense. And yeah, look, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they have so many weapons, and they are so good on offense that they're going to get some plays even on 4th and 17. And when you're big game hunting the way they were, if you get a couple of those, you flip the game immediately. I mean, this went from Buffalo's in control, this should be a relatively comfortable win, to 4th and 17 is converted, then they get a touchdown, then they get 2 points to Travis Kelce. You're like, oh, wow, this is a one-score game immediately, and we're still in jeopardy down the stretch.
But they still ended up, the Bills, even with Mahomes driving down 7, they still end up making the stops. Those are the times when Mahomes usually comes through, and the Bills defense made those stops. And the other thing that they did, Mahomes only had 1 carry for 5 yards, and the number of times that he had leaned on his scrambling ability. Anytime the pass game is inefficient, Mahomes usually does it with his legs. But I thought the Bills did a nice job. They were mush rushing a little bit. They were doing some, everybody standing up at the line of scrimmage. The amoeba defense looks. They'd have Rousseau and Bosa, and then the amoeba in the middle. And I thought they did a really good job with their pass rush lanes and just not letting Mahomes get out of the pocket and not create big plays with his legs. And then they turned it into a low percentage game. And Mahomes hit Kelce on a beautiful throw when he was backed up in his own end zone. He hit a bomb to Marquise Brown twice. He hit the Rashee Rice 4th and 17. So he hit 4 pretty big plays.
Yeah.
But they missed a bunch of those plays, right? So you turned it into a low percentage game when the Chiefs offense the last couple of years has been the high success rate, high percentage game, all the underneath stuff, and then you take a shot over the top. So they made the Chiefs play a low percentage game, and it turned into the lowest completion percentage of Mahomes' career, 15 of 34. That's only 44%. He still hit 250.
Right.
But you turned it into this super low percentage game for Kansas City, and you did it because, like you said at the top, the athletes that the Bills have on defense can stay with the fast receivers of the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chiefs only converted 3 of 13 third downs. One of those they got 4th and 17 later, but they were inefficient on third down because of what Buffalo was doing as well. Injuries ended up being a pretty important part of this game, both in the game and going forward. Juwan Taylor went down, and Wanye Morris had to come in. He got wrecked on that one play where Bosa got really quick pressure on him. The Bills lost Michael Hoyt to a torn Achilles. That's now 2 defensive linemen in the last couple of weeks. Ed Oliver went down with his biceps injury that might only get him back for the first week of the playoffs, if and when they make it. And Oni might get him back then. So that's potentially 2 of those defensive linemen that they've built with this depth and insulation and to try and stop that happening again that had happened a couple of years ago, that's getting chipped away at.
And Hoyt was one of the guys that they're using, right? You can move
made
him
it.
around.
I mean, he'd only just come back from his suspension, but he's made a huge difference in the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, that's a big loss.
All right, two things I wanted that just from a game flow perspective. I want to talk about the intentional grounding in a minute, but let's just talk end of the game here. The Bills have the ball. It's 28-21. They're trying to they're driving to try to run out the clock. They make the decision to not pass, right? You're going to run it, and it's 28-21. You're in field goal range. You have two options here. Third down, we're going to run it. You could do a really, really short punt, waste a bunch of time, and try to put it like inside the 10 and say, here, Chiefs, you've got 18 to 20 seconds to go the whole distance of the field, need a touchdown, no timeouts. Or you kick a field goal. If you hit it, the game's over.
Yeah.
If you miss it, the Chiefs still need to go 60 yards or whatever to kick, to score a touchdown with no timeouts. But you got like 20 seconds, 22 seconds. So they kick the field goal, hits the upright.
Doink.
Right? And this is like the type, oh no, the Bills did it. You gave Mahomes 22 seconds. The Chiefs start the drive, outstanding, a little rollout, pick up 20, and boom, they're at the 40, right? They're there. They're in range to at least attack the end zone a couple times. But Bills held on from there and did a really nice job. Just interesting end of game. And it did give Mahomes and the Chiefs, one last opportunity there.
Yeah, I think it was the right call to kick the field goal, don't you?
Overall, yeah.
It's a 52-yarder. I mean, okay, it's not the best stadium in the world for that, but 52 yards in today's NFL is still pretty comfortable.
But if you miss, you just know you're giving.
Yeah. But
not just
they
Mahomes.
do need a touchdown.
You need a touchdown. But what I'm going to say is you're giving them at least a shot at the end zone.
Sure.
Right? They'll at least have a Hail Mary at worst. And they were.
I mean, we know like Mahomes and the Chiefs, even against Buffalo, is capable of moving the ball pretty damn quickly without an awful lot of time on the clock. Yeah, you know that if you miss that, they're probably going to have a shot at it.
So then the intentional grounding call. So it's 3rd and 6. Mahomes gets called for intentional grounding. Turns it into was a 2nd and 6. It would have been 3rd and 6. It turns 3rd and 6 into a 3rd and 16. Right. The ball got tipped, and the refs.
This is not in this sequence. This is just a.
I'm just going back. I'm just going back to the play.
Right.
Right. So the Bills went. Recap the game. Then we'll go talk about what else do you want to do to recap the game.
No, that's it. I'm just making the point that this is not.
This was earlier in the game. This was probably
segue to a different conversation.
This is probably the turning point in the game. So instead of a 3rd and 6, the Chiefs have a 3rd and 16 or somewhere in that range. He gets sacked the next play.
Yeah.
The Chiefs punt. Bills end up driving down the field to go up 2 scores, 28-13, and that was the turning point in the game. Mahomes throws the ball. He throws the ball away. It's not near any receiver. They talk about it, throw the grounding penalty, and Mahomes is trying to say his arm got hit. The reality was the ball got tipped just enough to make it land in the spot that makes it look like grounding. And then Andy Reid tries to challenge it. They say, you can't challenge that. And then it's just like, sorry, there's nothing challengeable on this play. It's 3rd and 16. Mahomes gets sacked to the next play, and rest is history.
Yeah, a few confusing things about this play. Number one, I have no idea why Mahomes was so convinced that his arm got hit, because I don't think there was anybody any near him at the time.
He may not have even seen it get tipped,
he seemed
and then he was just fighting for something.
It was just strange. He seemed so adamant that his arm was hit, and yet you looked at the replays, and it clearly wasn't. I don't really know why he was so fixated on that. I was amazed they called it grounding in the first place, because it seemed really obvious live that the ball was batted.
It wobbled. It came out of his hand.
Right. I mean,
wobbly.
I used the term batted initially. It wasn't that
like
strong,
a fingertip,
but it was hit by a defensive lineman, and it came crashing to the turf nowhere near its intended target. I mean, that is a standard ball is batted at the line. It's not grounding. We move on. Instead, they throw a flag, and then you're like, oh, well, okay, don't worry. They'll figure out that it was batted, and then they'll pick the flag up. Only no, that didn't happen. And the things that the NFL decides that our hands are tied. We couldn't possibly fix this, even though we're all looking at a replay right now that shows it's quite clearly a black and white goofed call. Like, that's the classic example of somebody's got to be in their ear and be like, pick the flag up. The ball was tipped. New York or just a guy looking at a TV screen in the stadium, somebody has got to be able to have the authority to say, this is idiotic to allow this to stand. And the fact that Andy Reid had to throw a challenge flag only to be told, sorry, you can't actually challenge that it should never have gotten that far.
So you can't challenge the penalty, but when a pass interference occurs, if there's a pass interference, it gets called against the defensive coach can challenge the play and say, I think that pass got tipped. If it was tipped, the pass interference gets negated. That is allowed to. You can do that, right? I've seen that happen before.
I don't
If you say we think this pass interference is null and void because the pass got tipped, which voids the penalty, we want to see a replay that says pass got tipped, the penalty shouldn't count. That happens on the regular. That's a thing.
Right.
So why can't you challenge the intentional grounding and say we think it got tipped? If it got tipped, of course it's not grounding. And it did. Why can't you challenge that it got tipped?
Number one, you should be able to. Number two, I don't think it matters. We shouldn't be in a situation where we're all sitting here watching this slow-mo replay of black and white evidence.
I know, we could easily
for why this play is incorrectly called. And we've just decided, I'm sorry, nothing I can do. Why? New York fudges this stuff all the time. Just buzz down and be like, dude, pick the flag up. This is stupid.
Yes. I'm with you, though, too. I don't know why Mahomes was pointing to his arm. It should have been
maybe that wasn't helping. Maybe they're if he's lying that much.
He's lying.
He's clearly done something weird at the play.
So anyway, there's always more than one call. I can imagine if it was maybe we would be incredulous the other way, too, if that went the Chiefs' way. But it went against the Chiefs in this game. But I thought that was clearly the turning point in the game. Chiefs made a couple big plays to get back in it, including the 4th and 17, and get within 7 with the 2-point conversion from Mahomes to Kelsey. But even then, Mahomes, he's usually the guy that makes all the right decisions in one-score games when you got to come back. That was a heave of an interception that he threw to Maxwell Hairston. Down 7, right? He usually doesn't make those kinds of decisions. And credit Buffalo for making that play. He just threw it up, and Hairston picked him off in a 7-point game in the 4th quarter.
Yep. Quite an uncharacteristic Mahomes game, I think.
It was. And so for the Chiefs now, if they weren't the Kansas City Chiefs, and I gave you this stat, what would you do? Chiefs are now 1-4 against teams with winning records.
Uh-huh.
They're now 0-4 against teams when they give up 20 or more points. And it's all teams with winning records, good teams. And they're 4-0 against teams who've combined for 10 wins. 4-0 against teams like the Raiders and Commanders and everything. So every time we're like, oh, Chiefs are back, if you go back and look, it's against the Raiders, it's against the Commanders. Really good win against the Lions. That's their only win against a team with winning records. If I said that without knowing the history of the Chiefs, you'd say, well, that's the Cowboys team we always talk about or the Dolphins team we always talk about.
And that's, I think, 5 straight regular season losses against Buffalo, isn't it?
Yes. And so that's my second question, the question we ask every year. If you're Buffalo, great. Okay, now what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do? It is just it's just so interesting to me, like with Game 7 of the World Series the other night, Sam, where you properly predicted that a pitcher might come in when he shouldn't.
I just suggested that was the way of doing it.
Football is interesting because in other sports, in the playoffs, you can have completely different strategies in a one-game setting. For instance, the Dodgers using their entire starting rotation. In football, there's not really a strategy change in the playoffs. It's pretty much the same game. Like the NBA, you have load management, and then you have different rotations, and you play your best players more in the playoffs. Baseball, you change the way you use your bullpen, right? There's no real strategy change in the playoffs. But if there were one, the Bills would be looking for, how do we beat the Chiefs in the playoffs? And honestly, it might just be as simple as stay healthy.
Yeah.
If Maxwell Hairston and Joey Bosa and those guys, Bosa hit Mahomes on the play where Hairston picked it off. That is off-season free agent, first-round pick. You got those guys to beat the Chiefs. Maybe it's as simple as just keep them healthy, but that's going to be the next question. How do the Bills have this type of defensive performance in the playoffs against Mahomes and the Chiefs if the Chiefs can get there.
It's a weird game where I don't think, psychologically, these are sort of massively important games generally in the NFL season. Like, you've got two theoretically elite contenders, elite quarterbacks, franchises going toe-to-toe. And you're like, what does that mean? It's a weird game where I don't know that it means anything for either side, right? Kansas City doesn't care that they just lost to Buffalo in the regular season because that happens 5 times in a row now, and they just come back and they beat them in the playoffs. So who knows? Who cares? From Buffalo's point of view, it probably doesn't matter for them either because they always beat Kansas City in the regular season, and then they get to the playoffs and they can't beat them there. So it's a strange game where I don't think that either side necessarily has any impact whatsoever from the result. But it is still notable that, Buffalo looked like the better team by a mile, and that's the way the game went.
And then from Kansas City's perspective, again, they're going to go. They have their bye. They're 5-4. They go to Denver, coming out of the bye, and so you still have Denver twice. They play the Colts, November 23rd, at home. We know the Colts can't play in cold weather,
so
they should be okay. Texans, Chargers, you still have some really tough games if you're the Chiefs. I still think they make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But we're talking about, maybe a lower seed. The division is absolutely at stake here. They're in third place, and, Denver's 7-2. They got to play the Broncos twice, Chargers one more time.
Yeah, I mean, they're still fine, I think, and I still expect them to make the playoffs. But they are now, if Buffalo and New England keep winning, that's one wild card spot taken up. If the Chargers and Denver keep winning, that's potentially another wild card spot taken up. Like you're sort of coming down to that third wild card spot and having to keep ahead of a team like Jacksonville for the entire season. Like it's getting, at least
you can't slip up. You can't slip up anymore.
You're running out of margin for error.
Only a couple more slip ups allowed here,
right,
for the Chiefs for where they want to go. So huge win for the Bills. Credit them the way they the offensive and defensive game plans I thought were outstanding, executed well from Buffalo there. Mm-hmm. Anything else on that one?
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video.
Check the Mic is live Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss a video.
You heard the man. Subscribe.